Let's begin the show with a focus on the big national story that has been developing as farmers from 3 states have been marching to Delhi. This farmer protest, this march has been with tractors, and a standoff has taken place today at the borders between Punjab and Haryana as farmers have been stopped by local authorities in Haryana from making their way to the national capital. Meanwhile, they have been marching towards the national capital with tractors, trolleys and other vehicles. The DMRC has said that metro services from neighbouring cities to Delhi will remain suspended in light of these protests. The farmers have been agitating against the recently passed agricultural laws. Meanwhile, a political war of words has also broken out with Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh and Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar entering into a war of words. But let's get a sense of what's been happening all day by speaking with Priyank Tripathi of the Times Network. He is joining us for the latest from Sonipat, Haryana. Priyank, you've been covering these protests all day. Where does it stand? Are these farmers from 3 states likely to reach the capital tomorrow?
Yeah, Tamanna, but there's the latest update which we are getting that the farmers who were stationed at the Panipat and Sonipat border have started moving towards the next barricade, which is barely 15 kilometers away from the district headquarters of Sonipat. So that is the latest input which we are getting. So it's going to be very tough time for the farmers to remove all those concrete constructed blocks which has been put in place by the state government and police machinery. Since morning, the police officials were there on the spot and they started keeping all these blocks. So basically, the tactics to delay the movement of the farmers to the national capital is the one priority for which the Haryana state administration has been focusing. Although on the other side, the senior officials of the Delhi police have also been on the high alert. We were getting calls from the senior officials who were attempting to know that what is the situation on the ground, because the movement of the farmers will certainly have been a factor on which the Delhi police will have to decide the strategy. If these 10,000 odd farmers who have been marching from Punjab and Haryana enters the national capital, then tomorrow is going to be a very tough day for the people of the national capital looking at the traffic arrangement. So we'll have to wait and watch for the night. I'll be there on the spot bringing all the factors for our viewers that what will be the situation, how things will unfold, whether there will be another situation of clash in between the police personnel and the farmers which happened earlier in the day.
We saw dramatic pictures coming through the day with tear gas and water cannons being used against the farmers to push them back. In the midst of this, has there been any attempt to come and speak with these farmers who are marching on the national capital and try and diffuse the situation through negotiations? Has anyone come to talk to them?
No, Tamanna, unfortunately not, because none of the senior leaders of either the state administration, although their grievances is against the centre, so none of the senior ministers of the centre have come and spoken to this farmer, although they have given their statement through media, which has reached to them. And on the other side, the delay tactics is certainly agitating the farmers more. Wherever they are going, they are facing the huge trouble from the police officials of Haryana who have been stopping them. So that is more irritating them, I would rather say, than having a dialogue with the central ministers. They have been saying that we want to go to the national capital, but because of the COVID situation, their permission has not been granted. But at every 10 to 15 kilometers, there are barricades by the Haryana state administration, which is certainly not a good thing for the farmers, which is agitating them more.
All right. All right, thank you for that update, Priyank, who has a long night of vigil up ahead. Let me go across now to Siraj Hussain, former Agricultural Secretary and someone who has been speaking in great detail about the new agri laws. Mr. Hussain, great to have you on the show, and you and I have had an opportunity to speak about how these agricultural laws can be transformational. Now, how do you look at this pocket of farmers who seem to be still very, very unhappy, and how can the situation be dealt with in your view?
I think the agitation which we are watching right now is basically a failure of communication. And if one can say so, lack of talking to the state governments in a federal spirit, spirit of cooperative federalism, because I do not see the demands of farmers being directly um, hit by any of these three laws. The farmers basically want that the procurement of wheat and rice at the minimum support price should continue. Now, these laws are not really talking about the procurement. So, if only the center could give in writing that the procurement will continue from the APMC infrastructure as in the past, then I think there would have been some kind of agreement between the state government, the farmers, and the central government. See, there are three major parties in this. One is the center, the other is the state government, and the third is the farmers and the adatyas. So there has to be a good discussion and communication among these parties.
You know, Mr. Hussain, meanwhile, if we look at where the rollout of these laws are, they've still not really been implemented in any real concrete fashion, have they?
Actually, the preliminary data of arrivals in mandis, which is captured by the Agmark portal, that data shows that even the arrival of Kharif crops, the arrival of the Rabi crops, which were harvested in April to June period, that was lower than last year. Despite a bumper crop this year, even though there was damage to crops in some parts, but even then the arrivals were generally lower. Rabi arrivals were recorded lower in mandis than last year. Similarly, the Kharif arrivals, the crop which has been harvested now, the Kharif arrivals are also lower than last year. So the first indications are that some trading is taking place, which is higher than previous years outside the APMCs. So we do not have full figures. I think the government will do well to release the data because they have more information than others, so that we know in which direction are we moving.
Absolutely. Well, the key to diffusing such a situation is communication. Water cannons, especially in the cold winters, will only go that far. Thank you so much, Mr. Suraj Hussain, for speaking with us.